So, welcome to a new episode of The Chiron Show, where you get a peek at the minds of culture, business, and technology. Today with us, Mr. Alan McIvor.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yo, your name sounds like very British. Where you
Yeah,
come from,
McIvor.
right?
Yeah,
McIvor.
very Scottish. Yeah.
So you're from Scotland?
Yeah, from Edinburgh.
Edinburgh? Yeah.
Mm,
Tell us about it.
Yeah,
Where
Edinburgh's a
started?
nice city. Lots of history. You know, very old. Like during the Industrial Revolution, Edinburgh had a lot of money in it. So the kind of the masonry, the buildings are absolutely beautiful there. Yeah.
I love they have a lot of beautiful castles.
Yeah,
and,
the castles and stuff. Yeah, when I got married in a castle in Edinburgh. That was
And also
really
you were
cool.
wearing something cool.
Yeah, of course you got to wear the kilts. Yeah. So with the tradition of the kilts, different family names have different colors of tartan. So we all have our like family tartan, family kilt. Yeah.
Do you have your own flag or icon or?
Yeah, there's like it's called a coat of arms.
Okay.
So both families have coats of arms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how did it work? Cause you're married with a Taiwanese
Yeah,
lady.
my wife's from Taiwan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you introduce that to your family?
Yeah, that's a weird story. Yeah, because I had a girlfriend who I met on my first day in Taiwan. So on my first day in Taiwan 11 years ago, I met this girl from California, and we were together about 4.5 years, and then moved to Shanghai together, and then broke up almost straight away.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
So I started dating my now wife during Chinese New Year. I'd come back to see my friends in Taiwan and the band and stuff like that, play a few shows, and met her. And she said, okay, what are we going to do? Because you live in Shanghai, I live in Taichung.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't quit my job at the moment. Like I just found a really good job in Shanghai. I don't want to quit. I can't do that. And she said, okay, I'll move to Shanghai. So my Taiwanese wife, quit her job and sold her car and moved to Shanghai. So we barely knew each other.
Wow.
Like we had dated for a few weeks.
And she went all in.
And she went all in. Yeah, she moved to Shanghai. We moved in together. And the first day she moved to Shanghai, my mom and dad had come to visit me in Shanghai. So like her first day in Shanghai is the first time my parents are meeting my new girlfriend. And my parents just knew that I had just broken up with another relationship, a long-term relationship. And they thought I was maybe moving too quickly. It was pretty interesting. Yeah. I'm glad it worked out. I mean, I'm glad it wasn't like, and then disaster happened and we started fighting. And because we really, like my wife and I at the time, we did not know each other that well.
What was your magic trick?
I think, like I'm really into psychology. I find psychology incredibly interesting. And and I think what my wife and I were both very impulsive, like 很冲动的人, And so I think when you have two people like that in a relationship, no one is slowing things down. No one is saying, let's take it step by step. If you're both super impulsive, then the relationship goes from like 0 to 100 with like that, and that's kind of what happened.
And it felt good right away?
Well, it just worked. It wasn't like it could have been a disaster. It was a big gamble because we not only did she move to Shanghai, but we moved in with each other and we were living in this small apartment in Shanghai where we had no other friends.
And was that her first time in Shanghai? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so thankfully she was able to transfer with her Taichung job, same company, over to Shanghai. So she had a job and I had a job. It was fine. It was like, the relationship went well, and we've been together like 6 years now. I've been married for 4 years. So, it ended up working out. She's a good person. I mean, I think a lot of Taiwanese girls are maybe, let's say the traditional girls are maybe a little bit more princessy, maybe not super independent, like the traditional boys and the traditional girls in that relationship, the boys earn all the money and the girls are more the housewife type. My wife is not like that at all. Very independent, very tough.
Very Shanghai.
Oh man, yeah, she's tough, yeah. So she doesn't need me. She wasn't moving to Shanghai to rely on me. Like she wanted to move to Shanghai. And her attitude was like, if we break up, we break up. Doesn't matter, So it's like I prefer
good.
that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
she's not super emotional. She's not like she's pretty
Stable.
calm. You know, like. Okay, I'll give you a reference. So when I used to fight with my ex-girlfriend, the fights could last 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Where she would be in a really bad mood for 2 weeks. And me and my wife, when we fight, it lasts about 5 minutes. It's like big fight and then over. You know, and I kind of
That's it, and
prefer
then
that.
move on.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Just get it over with.
Yeah, you get the fight over, and then it's like, okay, what do you want for dinner? It's like, okay, you know, like it's kind of nice.
What were you doing in Shanghai?
Yeah, that's when I started headhunting. So I came to Taiwan as an English teacher. I was 23 years old, and I got a job with Hess before I came to Taiwan.
Okay.
So I came to Taiwan with a job, and then they sent me to Taichung, and then I taught English in Taiwan for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Taichung only? Or
And Taichung for 2 years, Taipei for 2 years,
Okay.
which is where we met for the first time playing football. Yeah, so I taught English for 4 years, but was never happy teaching English. I didn't want to do it. And so I moved to Shanghai to just try and do something new. Anything. I would have taken anything. I would have
So
taken...
why headhunting?
So I moved to Shanghai, and in 2 months, I hadn't had one interview. And I had applied for so many jobs. Because if you think about my resume, it was like good academic background, master's degree, good university, and then English teaching for 4 years. So like what companies are going to hire me based on that resume?
What did you study back then?
I did politics and history, and I did very, very well in academics. Like I got a full scholarship to go to boarding school in Canada when I was 17. So I had a really good academic background. Like I almost got into Cambridge University to study law. So I was like one of the very top performers in the UK. But then I had kind of ruined my CV with English teaching. I had like really... And so, in the 2 months applying for jobs, eventually I got one interview at a headhunting company to be a personal assistant, not even a headhunter, just to be an assistant, like a secretary.
Did you know much about the
I knew
industry?
nothing.
Nothing.
I knew absolutely nothing, yeah. But it was my one opportunity, and I was like, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this.
Yeah.
And so when I was given the chance, I did an interview, and then they said, can you prepare us a presentation? And I put hours into that presentation, and eventually she gave me a job. And in terms of salary negotiation, I would have taken anything. She could have said any number. She could have said nothing. I'll pay you nothing over the next 3 months, and I still would have said yes. So I ended up negotiating a good salary, actually, thankfully, you know. And then once I
Shanghai
started,
is expensive.
Yeah, Shanghai's expensive. Yeah. So once I had started in that role, I just seized it. You know, I took every opportunity. I used everything I could to prove that I could do the job. I tried to learn. I kind of did a lot of lunches with colleagues. I tried to learn the industry as quickly as I could. And I was the one foreigner in a company of 180 Chinese people.
Yeah, you didn't speak Mandarin back then?
Yeah,
That's
I
what I
did.
want to ask. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did.
That's
I
good.
did. My Chinese wasn't amazing, but it was good. It was good enough. You know, I've always had lessons here. So I've had like private lessons for 11 years now.
Okay.
But I just wanted to be useful, you know, so I did something quite ballsy, actually. I don't know if I would do the same going back. Basically, I was so excited to start this job. I was like, how can I come in and influence the company? So I organized a meeting with the general manager, head of HR, head of BD, and the owner of the company after 2 weeks. And I was like, we're doing all of this really badly. Our website's terrible. You know, our branding is just awful. It's like, we need to change all of this right now. Like our LinkedIn presence is not good enough. The profiles of the consultants are not standardized. And the general manager said, okay, you can take charge of marketing. So I got a promotion after 2 weeks. I became the marketing manager. So I went from personal assistant to marketing manager, and then was slowly like,
So
okay.
the marketing guy, he didn't have lunch anymore with you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So I just, you know, I just tried to make myself useful, tried to do the job properly. Yeah.
That's good.
So you were working on the marketing side for the headhunting company.
Yeah.
Did you take what you learned in that first 2 weeks and try to apply that to marketing? So, for example, try to see it from a job seeker's perspective.
Yeah. I think what I did was, so the first thing I did was look at the English stuff that we were producing, the English website, the English documents, all of the paperwork. And I was like, I can definitely improve that stuff, right? So I immediately saw an in. I was like, I can be useful here, right? And then the second thing I did was my colleagues, when they had meetings, business development meetings with foreigners, foreign companies, they would bring me along. Even though I didn't know what I was talking about, my native level English would help with the foreigner. And so even though I didn't know what I was talking about, I was going into these high level meetings and I was doing all the talking, right? And my colleagues were like, oh, I like it because we can use him for this. Yeah. So it's like,
perfect bridge.
Yeah. So all of a sudden I'm doing the marketing. Now I'm doing the sales as well. It's like, now we should take Alan to all the sales meetings.
You guys were pitching to other corporations.
Pitching to other corporations, yeah, which is a hard thing to do. It's still something I do every day now, you know. But yeah, just like I said, just seizing opportunities and just trying to do more and more and more. I eventually started hiring for us as well. So I became our talent acquisition. So I hired like the head of Singapore. I hired like the Suzhou office manager. I hired our in-house talent acquisition. So yeah, just trying to do stuff, like just trying to learn, just trying to be useful.
Did anyone try to challenge your expertise? Like, you know, hey, you've only been with us for 2 weeks. What do you know?
Good question. There might have been a little bit of that under the surface, right? I think in Taiwanese and in Chinese culture, they're less direct.
Yeah.
I would say less direct. So for example, that would have been a conflict. If somebody thought this new guy, Alan, he's doing too much and he doesn't know what he's doing, they wouldn't come up to me and say, hey, you're doing too much. Maybe they would say it to a colleague, but they wouldn't say it to my face. So I don't know. I mean, maybe I didn't feel like I was causing friction. I felt like all of the Chinese staff were like, oh, we can use this Lao Wai. Oh. Like, we've never had a Lao Wai. Now we have a Lao Wai. It's like almost like not like a person, like a tool.
Yeah. Like
it's like, oh, we got a wee Lao Wai that we can use for this, and this now. Yeah. So I felt useful, and like I was nice, you know, I was friendly with everyone. So I got on well with people, and they knew that I wanted to work hard and be, you know, part of the company. I was always quite good for kind of joking around in the office. I think I was, and unlike a lot of the other people in the office, I would have lunch with different groups of people.
Yeah, not stay with one.
Yeah, because I found my office in China was quite hierarchical. Like the bosses would have lunch together, then the next I would have lunch together, then blah, 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 blah. And I would have lunch with everyone. I was able to stay kind of outside the hierarchy structure. Yeah. And I think that kind of proved itself really useful. Yeah.
And for those who are not familiar with job hunting companies, can you explain, like, you know, what's their role in the society?
Yeah, of course, right. So as a headhunter, you're kind of like an agent. So imagine like a sports agent where you have a soccer player that you represent and you're selling him to different football clubs, or her to different football clubs. So what a headhunter does is the other way around. So we will go to a company like Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola will say, we're trying to find a marketing head, and we're looking for this, and this kind of personality. Yeah. We want these kind of qualifications. And then we go out and we try and find them candidates that are suitable, introduce those candidates, set up the interviews, negotiate the salary, close the deal. Once we close that deal, then we get paid.
So you're basically like scouts for companies.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
What can you do that the companies cannot do it themselves?
That's a good question, right? So HR would rather do it themselves if they can. But if you think about time spent, right? Headhunters spend all of their time working on a specific focus. So for me, it's sales and marketing. So I know the sales and marketing candidates in Taipei better than anyone else. So if you're looking for a marketing head, maybe you know a couple people and you can get some references, and maybe you can do some LinkedIn searching yourself. But I've been working in that market for 5 years. So instantly I could give you all the best people in the market.
And you know who's available and who's about to quit?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you keep in touch with this you've got this big network that you kind of manage, and you're trying to set up the right people for the right job, doing a lot of connecting, you know.
And
So-
is it more face-to-face or a lot
Yeah.
is online?
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn talking
Yeah.
with people, but I also do a lot of face-to-face coffees. I go and meet clients face-to-face. I personally believe that you don't establish a relationship until you do a face-to-face. Like if you're just interacting over line and LinkedIn and phone call, you don't get
no.
that bond of trust.
Right.
So I think it's really important to meet people face-to-face, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. So how do you weight the importance
Yeah.
between the client and the talent?
Really difficult to do, and it's like that's a constant conversation in headhunting is like, whose side are you on?
Yeah.
Because the client pays, the client
yeah.
pays, but if the candidate's not happy, you don't get paid either.
Oh, okay.
So you're
What do you mean if they're not happy?
So let's say for that Coca-Cola job, so you have someone at Nike, okay, candidate who's Nike marketing head. You say, hey, are you interested in the Coca-Cola marketing head job? Yes. Okay, so they are interviewing, but if they don't feel happy, then they just stay in Nike. So if they feel like the company's disrespecting them, they're not given a fair salary offer, if they're treated, if they feel like it's not going to be a good match for them, it's a no. So you have to massage both sides, especially in financial negotiations. So what will happen with us, right? As soon as we meet a candidate, we'll ask them how much salary they're paid. Exactly.
Okay.
That's the first thing you want to check.
Absolutely, yeah. So you're checking their salary, and I don't mean they're maybe 3 million.
Yeah.
I mean like how much per month, what allowances do you get, how does the bonus work, what's your maximum bonus, what did you get last year, what's your expectation. So let's say they're being paid 3 million total. They might say to me, I'm hoping for 3.3 million in my next job, but 3.2 is probably enough. So I have to make sure the client is willing to hit that target. And there's always a bit of wiggle.
Before they meet, right?
Yeah. And that's the hardest part of our job is closing down the money. Closing down the money is really tough.
Do you sign exclusive deals with the talents or the client?
We would never sign an exclusive deal with candidates. That just doesn't exist in our industry. No one would ever do that. But with the clients sometimes, although to be honest, it's not in the client's interest.
They want to keep their options open.
Yeah, so if I say to Coca-Cola, okay, I will help you fill the marketing head job, but only I'm allowed to work on it. Like, why would Coca-Cola agree to that? Because they could have 5 of me working on it. They could have me and 5 of my good competitors all trying to find the right person.
Oh, wow.
So that's what happens.
And if you don't close the deal,
You get nothing.
And how long is the process for
Oh,
acquiring?
mate. I mean, I closed a deal with Apple last year that was 11 rounds of interview.
11 rounds.
11.
How long? How many months?
6 months.
Jesus.
For one candidate?
For one guy.
Wow.
Pretty higher up, huh?
Yeah, VP level, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like at the shortest, you can get a deal closed in a couple of weeks if you're super lucky, but the average is maybe a couple of months. So the key in my industry is to keep that ball rolling, like always new jobs, new clients, new candidates, sending people in, setting up interviews, like, always like you can't just focus on one job and hope it closes.
How many projects are you juggling between?
Yeah, that's
You want
simultaneous?
to be doing about 10 to 20 at
10
one time.
Positions.
At one time, yeah, 10 to 20 different positions.
And what's your closing rate?
Oh, low, really low. If you can close one a month, you're doing well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one a month is good. So, maybe 12 a year, something like that. If you can do 20 in a year, killing it.
Wow.
Killing it.
Wow.
And the way that we charge, right? So the average charge is about 25% of a candidate's annual salary.
Annual.
Yeah.
Nice.
So let's say the candidate's very senior level, they're being paid 4 million a year. You can make a 1 million NT payment.
But is it for the company or for you? You got
for
a
the company.
percentage?
For the company, I mean, the way that most headhunting companies work is that you have a base salary and then you have a target, and once you hit that target, then you get a bonus.
Yeah.
But my job at the moment, because I'm a partner in the company, I don't have any salary,
Yeah.
but I do keep 70% of every deal that I close. Right. So if you're closing a deal that is 1 million NT, that's 700,000 NT in my pocket.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I guess you would prefer a higher level talents,
Yeah, absolutely.
not entry level
Yeah.
interns.
Absolutely. Like, if you have clients who are giving you these senior level roles, that is just
What
so
about
nice.
if you get the easier, lower?
That's okay as well,
it's
because
also fine.
I mean,
Can you reject? How does it work?
yeah, I would. So the reasons I would reject a case are for things like, so there's a very famous consumer electronic company from Japan. I'm not going to say the name.
Yeah.
So very famous consumer electronic company. They met with me and they said, we're looking for a Marcom manager and we want this, and this. And I said to them, you're going to have to pay about 2 million in salary. And they said, we're thinking about 1.2 million. So in that case, I wouldn't work with them. It's just a waste of my time. It's like, if you want this, then you have to pay this. You know, you can't say, oh, I want a Rolex, but for half price.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. You know, I'm not going to reach out to you and be like, are you interested in this job? You have to take a big pay cut. Like, no.
That's a hard pitch for you.
Yeah. So I would reject those kind of roles. Or I would also reject roles that were just outside my expertise.
Okay.
So if somebody asked me to find them like a medical director, yes, you can make money for that, but I don't know any medical directors. I would be starting from zero.
Yeah.
So you have to really focus. I do marketing, sales, e-commerce, digital marketing, PR. I would do all those roles. Junior, senior, it doesn't matter. But I wouldn't really do anything aside from
Out
that.
of your comfort zone.
Because that's also your network as
It
well.
is, and it's a waste of time. It's like I said, you want to keep that ball rolling, and the way you do that is by knowing your network well and only working on with those people.
So I guess you have to keep in touch with a lot of the talents.
Yeah, my job is very low in hard skills. Like, you don't need to be very technically astute to do my job, but you do need to be very high in soft skills. Like, you got to be very good with people, and you got to be very good at kind of establishing a trusting relationship, almost like a friendship. Honestly, like I would say the line between friend and business contact in my industry has to be fuzzy, has to be somewhere in the middle.
Between you and the client, or you and the
Both,
talents?
with everyone I deal with. Because if I'm phoning clients and I'm being like, hey, how was your weekend? Yeah, good. You know, like, how you guys all staying? How's your daughter? Yeah, I remember last time we spoke, your daughter was just starting elementary school. How's she doing? Yeah. It's like, not just like business. It has to be more than that.
How do you keep track of all the little details?
Exactly, yeah. That's what I want to say. Like, maybe talking, same time making
Like
notes.
Excel
or
sheet?
Every conversation you have is written down in our database.
Oh,
So let's say I go to Angelo and I look at Angelo's profile. Oh, a year ago I called Angelo about this job and he said he wasn't interested at the moment because he's just moved house or whatever. It's like, oh, I remember last time we spoke, you said you moved house.
So you kind of type somebody's name on the database, and then the whole record.
Everything's
will
in
come
the
out.
database.
Okay.
Everything's in the database. Their name, their full CV, their email, their phone number, every conversation you've
Last
had,
time you talked,
every job you've put them into, like everything. Even things like, he is a tall guy, pretty handsome. I would put that in the notes as well. Yeah, for sure. Because in certain situations, let's say if you're working with Porsche or working with Ferrari, like, I don't know if I should be the one to say this, but those kind of companies want attractive people.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is offensive to somebody. I apologize if it is, but that is the reality, that luxury goods companies want to hire attractive people.
You mean physically?
I mean physically attractive, yeah. So, if you are trying to find a sales manager for Porsche, it's probably a good idea you find somebody who looks really good in a suit.
Yeah.
Like, that's not everything, but it's definitely part of it.
Yeah. It's
You
a
know, and
sales
you're-
package.
And you're kidding yourself
Yeah.
if you think it isn't. Yeah. Like, as a headhunter, I can maybe say that. HR wouldn't be allowed to say that. HR couldn't say to me, oh, we want someone who's really good looking.
Because it's a given. You have to know.
Even though they get it,
I
yeah.
have to read between the lines, yeah. Because the way that you get good at my job is by lots of trial and error. You find people and you send them forward, they get rejected. Why did they get rejected? Oh, okay. So next time, this person, they got rejected. Oh, why? Okay. So you're constantly trying to figure out like how to match better, because it's only in the match that you make money.
So I'm
Interesting.
curious, besides the financials,
Yeah.
what do talents care about the most?
They care about company culture. Okay, I'll give you a list of things that people care about because everyone's different, right? They care about the working location, the company culture, the personality of the boss, the product,
Yeah.
the title that they get, the career trajectory, the management scope that they have. Like if you have a person who's managing a team of 3 people, they don't want to go down to 0 people. They're already at 3. Or if you have
Right.
somebody whose title is marketing manager, they don't want to go down to marketing supervisor.
Okay.
So you got to take all of these things into account. Like part of our job is that kind of selling the client, right? So if I'm doing a job for Uber, right, and I'm calling a candidate and I'm saying, hey, I'm hiring for Uber at the moment, it's part of my job to sell that company. It's like, oh, Uber are good because you can move.
Even if you don't believe it?
I mean, okay, that's.
I mean, like,
that's a
just
good point.
basically like us, right? Like, we are designer. We are kind of selling eye candy, even we make things prettier.
Yeah. So that's a very, very good point. And I think it's something that you learn in headhunting. If you only do the positives, call a candidate, positive, but oh, you should do this job. And you're not being entirely truthful, at some point you're going to get caught, Like the best way of doing the job is to be quite transparent, like phone you and say, let's say, for example, Uber. Oh, Uber are really good because it's very fast paced. It's like a really up and coming company. A lot of your colleagues will be super smart. You get to move to Singapore or Hong Kong or whatever, maybe in the future. And then downsides. The over hours are crazy.
Yeah.
Like maybe the base salary pay is lower, but the bonuses are higher. Like you got to warn them. It's like the pressure is insane.
Man,
It's like it is not an easy job.
And how do you pitch to the talents? Do you like open up a presentation or do you just talk
phone
on the
call.
phone?
So,
Got it.
and then
Just a-
coffee or...
Yeah, sure. I mean, most of these candidates I know already,
Okay.
but so if it's somebody I know, I'm just giving them a quick call and I'm being like, look, I have this job, blah, 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 blah. Look at the job description.
Are they excited to receive phone calls from you, or are they like, oh man, Alan again?
That's an interesting one, actually, because in Taiwan, actually, people are pretty nice, just in general, and I feel like I've built enough strong relationships that when I phone people, usually I get like, oh, hey, Alan, how you doing? Yeah, how are you doing? Yeah. I've heard in the UK, where I'm from, headhunters are just not good people. Yeah, people like when they get a call from a headhunter, they're like, oh, it's like telephone sales. So I'm glad it's not really like that in Taiwan, because that would be a bit embarrassing. Like, I don't know, I'm quite sensitive, to be honest. I'm quite emotional as a person. And I think I would find that hard if people treated me like I was annoying them. Yeah. Honestly, though, the longer you do the job, the easier it gets. Like
you get
in the
thicker
first,
skin as well.
you get thicker skin. And in the first 6 months, everyone you call is somebody who's a stranger. And it's hard to call strangers. Like in my job now, I don't do that much of that. Like most people I call know exactly who I am. We've met for coffee. We met for the first time 3 years ago. I've sent them forward to a few jobs. Like, I don't need to explain who I am. It's like, oh, hey, it's Alan McIvor, the headhunter. They're, oh, yeah. Hey, Alan, how you doing?
And from the client's perspective, I guess the table is flipped. You have to pitch the talents to them.
Yeah, you can't push too much, though. I mean, at the end of the day, it's completely their decision. So if I'm sending forward 5 people, I can explain why I think I'm recommending them.
Okay.
Oh, I really like Angelo because Angelo's, he's this, and this. But I could never force Angelo through to second round if he gets rejected. Yeah. Like if the HR comes back and says, we met with Angelo and we think he's not really a good fit personality-wise. I can't say, oh, no, he is.
Yeah. Right.
Right, it's their decision, rejected, So
it will be your responsibility to be like, well, I got next person lined up.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if I send forward 5 people and they all get rejected, no interview, I would maybe push back a little bit. I'd maybe push back with one. I'd be like, I'm surprised you rejected Christina, because actually Christina, I think she's fantastic. and then they'd maybe interview them. Right. But it's like you can only do that a few times. Like you can't.
And like I'm thinking as well, like how many people can you bring forward at once?
Oh, as many as you want. I mean, it's probably not a good idea to send too many people, but let's say I'm hiring for your company. I would probably try and send 3 people in the first week, and then, I'd want to send a minimum of 10 people for you, so that you felt like you were assessing your options properly. Like yesterday I closed a deal for a business unit head for a kind of digital and e-commerce guy in a Taiwanese company. And for that position, I sent, I think, 10 people, and I think they interviewed 7. And they brought 2 forwards to final round, and we did reference checks, and then they offered 1. So that's it's quite a standard process. It took about 2 months.
Is it your job to do the due diligence?
Yeah. Yeah, like we do the reference checks, and there can be problems. Like if you send somebody's resume forward and the resume is inaccurate, let's say they have an academic, like a degree that actually isn't real, you can get in trouble for that. You basically lose the money. And I mean, it gets messy if you don't.
So do you have to hire a private detective to do all the...
No, we don't do any of that stuff. It's a good question. I think we gamble maybe a little bit too much on that kind of side, because you generally just trust people. I think I've had candidates who I got a bit of a bad feeling from, and I stopped working with them.
Okay.
Because I got a feeling like, I don't really trust you. Something's not right.
You went to their LinkedIn, something weird.
Wasn't right. Yeah. Something wasn't right. I mean, I had one woman contact me in my previous job, and she said, "Oh, I'm looking for jobs at the moment. I'll send you my resume." No problem. And she sent me her resume, and she was a VP in Google. And before that, she was in Apple. And I was like, wow. But then speaking to her on the phone, it just didn't match. It didn't match at all. And so eventually I phoned the HR of Google.
Did you
Judy,
in that kind of situation, do you confront them face to face, or personally, or do you do it through, like you mentioned, HR?
I would check with, because I know a lot of people in a lot of different companies. I would phone somebody and be like, "Hey, this girl Tina has just sent me a resume, and she, something's not right." I would check. Yeah.
Okay.
So the HR on the client side are happy to work with you.
Well, I phoned the HR of Google, and I said, "I just want to let you know that there is this woman with this name who is saying on her resume that she was a VP in Google for the past 5 years." And Judy said, "No, that's not true. She is not." Right. And she said, "Thank you very much for warning me."
Yeah.
Got it. So it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, I think you can earn a little bit of respect from doing that from the client. The client would be like, "Oh, thank you," because you are kind of watching their backs, a little bit.
And would you say that's a good tactic to develop new business as well?
Yeah, it could be, but it doesn't happen very often. I mean, people in Taiwan, I don't know if I'm just assuming this, but not that sneaky. I don't know. It's like
Westerns.
Yeah, I can only think about a couple of times where I've had a bad feeling about some interaction. And I've been in the industry for years. Most people are fairly straight up, and I'm dealing with senior level people, right? So, for example, if I speak to somebody who sends me a resume and they don't have a LinkedIn, I would distrust them.
Really?
Yeah, because almost everyone is on LinkedIn. It's like in your
the
full
professional,
profile. Yeah, it's like it's a big part of the job.
Even for the more traditional industries?
I don't cover those. I don't cover those. Yeah.
Exactly.
So like the kind of companies I've been mentioning are real examples. Like I've worked with Uber, Apple, Coca-Cola, Ferrari, Porsche. Like I've worked with all these kind of companies. So the kinds of people I'm dealing with are,
more international.
Yeah, they're very visible people. They all speak good English, very good careers. They all went to NTU and Janda.
So do you focus on what would you say, like percentage wise, foreigners, local Taiwanese?
Almost all Taiwanese. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like from time to time, foreigners, but really not very often.
Very little.
And there's a really annoying regulation in Taiwan. So in Taiwan, in my industry, there's 2 types of license. So the license to recruit Taiwanese costs 500,000 NT. It's a government license, 500,000
Per company or per
per
person?
company.
Okay.
Okay, once you get that, you can do whatever. And the license to recruit foreigners is 5 million.
What?
Yeah, and 3 million of that has to remain as capital. So you can't just put the money in and take it out. Okay, so the reason that the law is there is to protect Southeast Asian blue-collar workers from exploitation. So the kind of there's a real history in Taiwan of Filipinos and Indonesians being exploited by these hiring agencies. And the Taiwanese law applies to those hiring agencies and us. So even though I'm dealing with like super senior foreigners, the law still applies to me. So at the moment, I'm not legally allowed to work with foreigners, which is really annoying. I can kind of help them out and
Just
give them
point
advice, but I can't actually place them in Taiwan legally. It's annoying, right? Because as a foreign headhunter, it's like I
have a lot of connections.
I have a lot of access to those people.
Right.
I mean, I've been trying to speak to the government. Like I met with a guy, Quanting. So Quanting is quite senior in Taipei mayor's office. He's a deputy mayor, or was. And I spoke to another woman who was head of foreign affairs. I've been trying to just chip away,
get into
changing the law is going to be... I think I've got more chance of making 5 million NT, to be honest with you.
So, I mean, are there sufficient foreigner talents in Taiwan to begin with?
There's not a lot. I mean, there are some really good foreigners. I know a lot of them for sure, because I always find it really interesting. Like last Friday, I met a guy called Sebastian Huing, who's he was one of the really senior guys in Rocket Internet. The guy's behind Food Panda. He's a German guy, and he's like a digital freelancer just in Taiwan. So I met with him for a coffee, not really for direct business, but just kind of networking. We have a chat, you know. So we had a chat and we had a coffee, had a good chat. So I do that a lot. Even in my job, I'm not always looking for an immediate benefit. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's always a long game.
Yeah, you got to play the long game. 100%, you know. Like a lot of my clients are people that I helped 2 years ago. Or, you know, it's like, who knows where business is going to come from? Like, you got to keep your network
especially
good.
Nowadays.
Yeah, and also like being rude to some people can be
They will remember. Yeah,
can really badly affect you. Like I've had a few incidents where I've had, you know, maybe a conflict with a client or with a candidate, and it doesn't feel good. It's not a good idea. It's like you should avoid it if you can, even if it's their fault. You know, like from my side, like I try my best to do things like don't send angry emails. You know, like if you're gonna have a conflict, have it over the phone and try and be calm. You know, like.
Straightening things out as quick as possible.
Like I don't. You guys probably have this in your industry where you get an email and your first reaction is anger, and then you sit on it. Like don't reply.
Yeah.
Don't reply. Either like write a draft, delete it. Write another draft. You know, it's like if you send an email that's really antagonizing, you're just destroying the relationship.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we do get a lot of angry emails from clients. Sometimes from our vendors,
right?
And I mean, you're right. You know, the first impulse is like, wait, I want to justify myself. But then, like, you take a step back, you phone them, be like, hey, I saw your email yesterday.
Yeah,
what is it about? Tell me.
Yeah,
and then the client will be like, oh yeah, sorry, my kid was kicking around, so I sent it really quickly.
Exactly.
In a rush.
Exactly. It's always a better idea to do that kind of thing face to face or over the phone. I found in my last company, they were quite Taiwanese, and so they didn't like to do face-to-face conflict, and so they would send you text messages or emails, and I would be like, happy to have a chat. I'll come and find you. So I'd go into the office, close the door, and be like, so what's the situation? You know, and
do they open up?
It helped a lot. It helped a lot because I wouldn't go into the situation aggressively. I would go in kind of calm, and we would talk about the issue kind of calmly. And Yeah, these are all lessons that you learn, right? The more mature you get,
especially coming from Europe and then working in Asia for the first time, I had to adjust a lot.
Yeah.
What was your biggest culture shock between, European way?
I mean, so in the UK in high school, the way that we learn politics and history, which is what I specialize in, that's what I'm good at, is by arguing with the teacher and arguing with each other, right? And in Taiwan, that is just not the way things are done. It's like the teacher writes on the board and you write the notes, So I grew up in a culture that really liked debate, Like I can argue just because I enjoy arguing. And it's not aggressive. It's like more like a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like a competition, right? So in Taiwan, sometimes I would be in meetings and I would say what I think. And that's just not really done here. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Like I had an incident where it wasn't bad, but the CEO of my whole company, and my previous company was huge. Bola. So Bola's a massive company. The CEO from Shanghai was in Taiwan, and he was saying, I'm going to step down, like I'm resigning, and our new CEO is going to be this person. And I put my hand up and I said, are you sure that that's the right choice? I don't think he has enough experience in the industry. And everyone bursts out laughing. It's like, only Alan could ask that question. And from my point of view, I was thinking like on behalf of the business, right? But at my place as a director in the hierarchy, you're not allowed to ask stuff like that. Yeah. So I'd say my main obstacle has been like just
being too open,
wanting to speak and say what you think and give your opinion. And
so how do you work around it? I mean, you have to get your opinion out eventually, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some types of foreigner that come to Taiwan and really adapt into Taiwanese culture, like they become Taiwanese almost. And there's some foreigners that come and don't compromise at all. And I think I'm not really either. I like to think of myself as somewhere in the middle. Like I would still say what I think, but I would try and do it a lot softer than I would previously.
And for the ones that refuse to change, do you think they are the majority or?
Good question. I mean, I'll have foreigners phone me and they'll say, oh, I'm looking for a job. And then they spend 20 minutes complaining about their current company. And part of me thinks, like, I don't care. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And there's a lot of, if you're coming to me and you have, 20 minutes of complaints, then definitely you haven't adjusted properly. I'm sure some of those complaints are correct. But part of it will be that you were not able to adjust into the culture. I think there has to be some kind of compromise. Yeah. The foreigners who do well here are the ones who can play both sides. Like they still are a foreigner, but they're also part of the Taiwanese team. The Taiwanese don't see them as like for example, having a Taiwanese wife really helped me, right? Having a Taiwanese wife, because my Taiwanese colleagues would be like, oh, Alan's a Taiwan Taiwan 老婆.
Do you hear that often, that people say, oh, I forgot you were a foreigner?
Yeah, right.
That's what you hear
us,
sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like it's nice if your Taiwanese colleagues like see you as like, oh, they know you love Taiwan, you make effort to speak Chinese, your wife is a local, like all of these little things help you kind of be inside the circle. So, but you still want to be you
yourself.
Yeah, you still want to be yourself.
Yeah, I think I've met, this is the minority. I've met some foreigners who try really hard to blend in.
Yeah.
And then just make them look a little bit insecure.
I think
like,
so as
almost
well.
ridiculous.
I know, it's like, I know that's not you.
I know. I mean, I've met foreigners here who won't hang out with any other foreigners. And they're like, all of my friends are locals. I don't hang out with foreigners. They're just
like
all
way
big,
over the other side.
Like, okay, I guess if that's what makes you happy. But like for me, for example, like I really enjoy being part of the Taiwanese business community. But if I'm honest, a lot of my best friends are foreign men. Do you know what I mean? Usually North American. Like a lot of my best friends are Canadian and American guys. And for whatever reason, those are just the people that I feel closest to, It's like, So, I don't really see any big conflict in that. I'm not going to go out of my way to have a bunch of Taiwanese friends, even though I do have some Taiwanese friends. My best friends are mostly foreigners.
Is that because of your activities outside of your work that you hang out more with foreigners?
Yeah, I think so. Like, for example, I do a lot of music.
Yeah.
So a lot of my musical friends in my band are foreigners. And then I play golf as well. And my golf guys are all foreigners apart from one guy. And then I do pub quizzes as well. Do you guys know what pub quizzes are?
Yeah, I just saw the video.
Yeah.
No,
so pub quizzes are like it's quite British. It's like a kind of trivia competition.
Yeah.
And my team of 6 are all foreign guys. Although I have a group of friends, like 14 people, 7 couples. We're all really close. And that's a bigger mix of people. Like, Taiwanese guy, American girlfriend, Brazilian girl, Danish boyfriend, Taiwanese girl, American boyfriend. It's all
all over.
And so in that group of friends, my really close group of friends, we can speak both Chinese and English. It's not just a very foreign dominated group. It's like a bit more of a mix, which is really nice.
What do you guys speak home with your wife? Chinese?
Kind of Chinglish, I'd say. Yeah, kind of Chinglish. Like if it's a long conversation, English. But if it's kind of day-to-day small stuff, she will speak to me in Chinese and I will reply in English.
Yeah.
So if it's just small stuff, she always speaks to me in Chinese, yeah.
So you always reply in English?
Yeah. And I did the same in my previous job, actually. Yeah, in Robert Walters, my colleagues would speak to me in Chinese and I would reply in English. So everyone's kind of comfortable.
Yeah,
I kind of like that, to be honest. Like, because I think, the Taiwanese are uncomfortable if I'm forcing them to speak English all the time. But if they can speak Chinese and I can speak back in English, everyone's fine. Everyone's happy. Everyone's comfortable.
If you try replying in Chinese, that might be a little bit difficult for them to.
Yeah, I think the problem for me about having long Chinese conversations is that I just seem a bit dumb.
Or you can express exactly what you want.
I know, and I think of myself as a very smart person, right? So if I'm speaking kindergarten level Chinese, I just don't.
You feel uncomfortable.
I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I'm not able to express myself. I don't like it.
Well, I think, Albert, you have something. Is it like slightly different? Because now we see Albert, as an Asian, but I feel he's more like a foreigner.
Yeah, where do you feel culturally?
Oh, that's complicated.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm. So there's the term ABC, right? So I'm technically ABC, but I moved back to Taiwan when I was like a year and a half.
Right.
So I grew up in Taiwan.
Yeah.
So I thought Mandarin was my first language. But then when I was 13, I moved back to the States.
Right.
So I felt like a foreigner in the States. So I was there for like 10, 13 years. Then after college, I came back to Taiwan again, and then I feel like a foreigner all over again.
Yeah, totally.
Because everyone was like, "Your Chinese is weird. Where are you from?" I grew up here.
You're Taiwanese, no, you're not.
Yeah. So like, I have accent in both Chinese and English.
Yeah, right.
So I don't really know where I'm from anymore.
This is the same thing. If I go back to Chile, people say like, "You are a gringo."
Right,
foreigner.
Right.
A gringo. And then in Holland, I speak well Dutch, but they know I'm not from Holland.
You're not Dutch.
I'm not native. And then in Taiwan, same. So I keep telling people I'm a world citizen, but and I did read somewhere, or I saw a video online somewhere. Somebody said, don't make fun of somebody speaking with an accent because that means he speaks more languages than one.
I totally agree. I mean, what a small criticism of Taiwan would be that somebody like Angelo and I, right, been here 11 years, Taiwanese wife, I'm about to have a baby. So it's like, I've been living here for years. Like, am I not becoming more Taiwanese? At what point would I be considered Taiwanese? And I think in Taiwan, never. I could be here for 50 years with like a whole bunch of kids and still be a Lawai, like still be a foreigner.
You might be even the president of ACES, but they will be thinking
still a foreigner,
a foreigner,
yeah. Like let's say for you,
or English teacher,
for you, for example, like you said, you lived in the States for a long time. If you had been born in the States and then lived in the States for your whole life, and you're like 35-year-old guy, and someone says, "Oh, but where are you from?"
Yeah.
It's like I'm from the States. I was like, "What do you mean, my ancestors?"
Yeah,
like I'm
right,
American, you know. And at some point, you would assume that I will become Taiwanese, like at least a little bit Taiwanese. It's like, am I always British? Like, am I always British even though I've been here forever? And like my roots are here. I own a house. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
do you think this might happen as well to your future child?
I mean, I'm a bit worried that for my future child, throughout their whole life, Taiwanese people will say to them, "Oh, you Zhongwen很好." It's like, I'm Taiwanese. You're talking about Zhongwen很好. It's like, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried about that. I mean, there's pros and cons because, you know, there's something nice about being a little bit different as well. You know, maybe.
I call it positive racism.
Yeah, a little
it's something we got. You know,
I feel like I've experienced a lot of positive racism here. A lot.
Me too.
Yeah. And I feel a bit guilty about it. Like, for example, last month I crashed my car.
Oh yeah, you don't.
My fault.
Yeah.
My fault. I was at the airport and I circled around and I missed the turn-in. And so I reversed quickly, smashed into a car that was coming from behind me. My fault, 100%. So I get out the car and I go around and I said, "I'm sorry, I was trying to get in that gap." And he looked at me and he was really angry. And then he saw I was a foreigner. He was like, "Okay, whatever, you know."
Yeah, I
So,
don't want to
like,
deal with it, right?
So we didn't swap insurance or anything like that.
Got away.
So he will have to go to the garage and pay to fix his car because it was from my problem. And I feel guilty about that for sure. Like, that's like the kind of positive racism. It's like, if that had been a Taiwanese person, that situation would have been very different.
Is it also because he didn't want to interact with you because he knows probably his English is not good.
Yeah.
And he might think your Chinese is not good.
I mean, maybe, but it happens so often that, you know, it does feel like privilege to me.
Yeah.
Like, I've been stopped by the police in Taiwan driving.
Yeah. Four
times. And every single time
you get away with it.
They've been like, just go. You know, just go.
Did you even try to reply in Chinese at all?
Yes.
Even that, they were like, you know, "Oh, we don't want to deal with your Chinese."
They speak a little bit, and then you can see them thinking about it, and then they do this kind of motion, like, just go, like, whatever, you know. Yeah, every single time that has happened. Yeah, but it's a shame that it happens, and like, you know, especially with the Black Lives Matter conversation going on abroad, like. You know, I do have to be aware of my privilege, and it's important for me to recognize that I've maybe had a much luckier life than some other people, maybe because of the color of my skin, you know, for whatever reasons, right? I think it's important that you don't take that for granted. Like, I absolutely hate foreigners who talk down to waiters and waitresses in restaurants in English.
Yeah.
Oh, in Taiwan, you mean?
In Taiwan.
Oh, yeah, that's horrible.
In Taiwan, you know, like, they're in a restaurant and you know, a 25-year-old Taiwanese waitress comes over and they're like, "I want the beef, okay? You know, I want the beef." Yeah. Drives me absolutely crazy.
Yeah. I recently saw an article. They interviewed a bunch of Vietnamese in Vietnam, asking how they feel about foreigners in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Like 85% of them say, like, you know, those guys think they are gods.
Right. And they're just so rude. And I hate that. I hate it.
I feel like when I see it on video, it gives me like a powerless feeling because being sitting there, I don't think I'll probably stand up.
Yeah. 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 Really. Yeah. I don't enjoy rudeness, but especially foreigners in Taiwan who are really rude to the locals because you can tell they think that they're special, and Taiwanese people are nothing. You know, it's like, I detest that. I won't be friends with anyone like that. No way.
I'm thinking now, Alan, we're dealing with this pandemic situation.
Yeah.
And, how does this affect your job and also maybe your child coming up? Because you know, your parents cannot visit Taiwan probably.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of uncertain.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of my life, it's affected me because my wife was pregnant throughout the whole thing and freaking out.
Yeah.
Freaking out, So that's not nice.
Because she has to go to the hospital, but
Yeah, and one of the problems as well is that, let's say I go and play golf with my friends, then even if my wife is being careful and staying at home, I'm still maybe bringing the disease back.
Yeah, because
exactly.
People are freaking out about Americans, Europeans, right? 'Cause that's where the epidemic is happening.
So it was kind of scary. Yeah, for sure. And for my job, it's just been awful. It's really, because Taiwan has dealt with the virus really well so far, but the economic consequences have been absolutely massive. Every foreign company has frozen headcount.
Yes.
So, in Taiwan, there's like an artificial barrier, an artificial roadblock put in the hiring process by Chinese New Year bonuses. So in Taiwan, February, people get their bonus. March, they'll change jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So the HR know that this happens. So they wait until March to release headcounts so they know who they can replace. So for headhunters, quarter 2 and quarter 3 are super busy. And then Q1, Q4 are quite tough. So in Taiwan, Q2, Q3 are crazy busy. It's when we make all of our money. Yeah. And this year there's been very little going on. It's a tough market. I know one of my old companies have taken pay cuts. Things like that,
So nobody's hiring right now.
It's not nobody, but very little. Some of the Taiwanese companies, like I've had to start working a bit more with the local companies than I did before.
I think Paul, Paul from our football team, he was looking for a job. He said like if he was lucky, getting one interview per month.
Oh yeah, it's tough. Really, really tough. Yeah. And so many candidates are coming to me. Oh, hey, Alan, is there any good jobs at the moment? It's like, nope. Nope, not really. It's tough. Yeah.
Do you have any? Yeah, exactly. Do you have any projection? Like how long is everything going?
A lot of the clients have been saying to us Q4.
Okay.
So they've said, Q4 will open up again. Q4. But I mean, no one can really predict the virus. I mean, the good thing is that Taiwan's dealt with things really well. But as soon as things open up again, you're guaranteed to be bringing in new cases from the airport.
Right.
So,
I mean, Taiwan is an export country. So, the world's not doing great. It doesn't matter if we're healthy. Yeah. Economically, I think we'll be hit pretty hard.
Yeah. And there's a lot of overseas Taiwanese as well. Like a lot of Taiwanese in China, States as well. Singapore, Hong Kong, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand.
They're coming back?
Well, I mean, a lot of them will. For sure. You can guarantee that.
A lot of them already did.
Yeah.
A lot of them already did. Yeah. So for me, because I'm focusing on very high level talents, a lot of my good candidates are in Shanghai. And I'm keeping in touch with these Taiwanese in Shanghai, being like, hey, how's things going? Just waiting to see if they're going to move back.
Do you feel any movements?
Yeah, I'd say starting from February, way more were like, I'm moving back. So before they'd be like, I'm open to coming back. If there is a good job, let me know. But the conversation changed. It was more like, I'm moving back. I'm going to come in March. Can you help me find a job? Way more. And a lot more of my Taiwanese candidates being like, hey, I have a friend coming back from the States. Can you help them find a job? Like a lot more of that.
Wow. So you have an oversupply of talents.
Way oversupply. At the moment, I'm super candidate heavy and I have nothing to offer a lot of them. Yeah, it's hard. Because if you have candidates come to you every month or two and say, hey, Alan, do you have any good jobs? And you say no every time. Eventually, they're just going to stop asking.
Yeah. Right.
You ruin the relationship. They're like, Alan doesn't have anything. So, I mean.
And you are just only one of the many that are fishing out there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, headhunting, you got to.
Do you have a lot of competition?
Yeah.
In Taipei?
But I don't know if this is offensive, but I would say there's not a lot of good competition. I don't.
Well, it's good to be confident.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you were my client and you were saying to me, why would we use Alan over other headhunting companies? I would be confident saying I'm better than they are. I'm
better bringing higher quality.
I'm more experienced. I have better relationships in the market. I know the market better. I'm good at my job. Like I would feel very confident saying that. It's like I've been top sales in various senior level positions for years. It's like, I can prove myself. A lot of headhunters are young college graduates, so if it's me versus them, it's like, you should go with me.
Do you have any government support or backing because you are helping local Taiwanese? No, there's no subsidies or
no. I've never. I mean, maybe that kind of thing exists. I haven't heard of it. Certainly. I mean, I would love the government to give me that license.
For the
5 million license. Yeah. Like that would be a dream if the government just said, "Oh, we recognize that you are helping foreign talent in Taiwan, and so we're going to let you do this."
But is it now like? Is it wrong timing right now, even if you got it right now, because you're like pretty heavy loaded?
Yeah.
Or do you think?
But once you have the license, you can use it forever. It's not like you just need it one time. I would absolutely love the government to make an exception. I don't know who would be in charge of that. It's not very probable. It's not very likely, but no harm in trying, right? Like tomorrow, tomorrow I'm going to go and try and meet Audrey Tang.
Oh, the technology minister.
Yeah, because she has open office hours on Wednesdays.
Okay.
Yeah, and I found out where she works. I found out where I did a bit of digging. Yeah, she has open office hours on Wednesday.
Open to who?
To anyone. It's like the kind of.
We should book her next time.
It's like the open government policy. So she wants to improve how transparent democracy is. So she is saying, in Taiwan, we want to be contactable. If you want to speak to the government about something, we want you to be able to do that.
In person?
In person, yeah.
Wow.
So tomorrow morning, I'm going to go and see if I can get a meeting with her.
And what do you want to talk about?
I want to get that license.
But how is she going to... I guess she's pretty higher up.
I know. It's like, with these kind of things, like... You just got to poke at various, you got to try, like thinking outside the box and being creative is it's a way of getting things done. It's like, if you can figure out a way around a problem, then do it. If you can maybe try something, do it.
That's what I always think, aim high. You never know.
Right.
I mean, in my job, it's like, I'm constantly dealing with thousands of candidates and clients, and I have to explore avenues and try different things and whatever I can do.
But I'm curious, how would the license help you though if all the clients are freezing the hiring?
I mean, they definitely wouldn't at the moment. Yeah,
that's why I said I help
it's a long game.
But for example, when I first started in Paul Wright 9 months ago, I recommended a Russian American girl to a client of mine, and I wasn't able to get paid. Right? That should have been 200,000 NT. For me, I got nothing.
Right, just because you cannot legally.
Because I don't have the license. So I did my job. I recommended a really good person for that good role. Didn't get paid. It's like, it doesn't seem fair to me. Personally,
Right. I thought the government has been trying to recruit more foreigners to Taiwan.
Exactly.
That's how they do the PR.
And the funny thing is, whoever I speak to about this one issue, I'm like, I have this issue, and I explain it to them. They're like, oh, that doesn't seem right, right? It's like, oh, we agree with you. It's like, but nothing's going to get done about it. So just got to keep pushing away. Just got to keep hammering.
I'm a little bit curious about. I don't know if you know anything about working contracts. As a foreigner, because Taiwanese company, they don't work with contracts.
I haven't experienced that. Everyone we work with, they sign contracts. Because for example, for compliance in our industry, we need a signed offer. Right? Yeah. So for every job that we close, they have to give a contract with the salary information on it that the candidate then signs. And if we don't have that and we get audited, if we get audited by the government, we can get fined. So you need that. That's part of the paperwork that we need for every single deal. So if a client was to say to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't offer contracts," I'd be like, "Well, you gotta make one now." Who's like, "Do you want me to write it for you?" It's like, I need
Here's
that.
a template.
Yeah, I need
So
that.
I'm very curious why Taiwanese companies, I mean the local, I don't know, like why they don't work with any.
I don't know. I think that they should. I mean, like I've had foreign friends of mine go into Taiwanese companies and the HR just doesn't really know what they're doing. They don't know how to deal with stuff. You know, they've been doing the same job for a long time, but they're not familiar with a lot of stuff. So like, for example, if you ask a Taiwanese person, why is it difficult for foreigners to find good jobs in Taiwan? The Taiwanese people will mostly guess, oh, they're more expensive salary, and the working visa is quite difficult to get. And both of those things are not true.
Yeah.
Right? But that is what Taiwanese people will guess, you know? So like if as a foreigner working in a Taiwanese company, if the HR hasn't done that paperwork before, she'll maybe just reject you.
It does
Right.
It does take some fiddling to figure out.
Yeah, there's a bit of bureaucracy involved,
Yeah,
for
a little
sure.
bit.
Yeah. Not the worst though. I mean,
Not compared to the US.
yeah, the US is crazy, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And now they're turning away all the H1B1 visas.
I heard that. Yeah. I mean, I find it really sad. I meet a lot of Taiwanese people who they studied in the States or the UK and then they wanted to work there and they couldn't. You know, it's like it's too hard to get the working visa and get sponsorship. It's like so they had to come home. It's like, it's a bit of a shame, you know.
I think that the whole world situation is kind of changing bit by bit.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going back to the
Back to
situation.
normal, yeah. America's in a difficult situation. At
they
the
are.
moment, yeah.
Yes.
They're breaking records every day.
Yeah. Do you want to know something funny?
Always.
Donald Trump is my second cousin.
He's your second cousin.
Yeah,
Because he's from Scotland, right?
His mum's from Scotland. Yeah, he's my cousin. Yeah.
Really?
You heard it here.
I know. That's something to be proud of.
Are you proud?
Can you send me a personal tweet?
Yeah, it's
tweeting.
crazy, right? Yeah, it's a bit embarrassing.
I mean, yeah, seriously, do you guys talk about it in family back home? Like,
We find it really funny because his mother, Donald Trump's mum, left Scotland when she was really young. So my grandmother, my mum's mum, and her kind of grew up together. They were very close. But she left for New York when she was 17, 18. So that side of the family back in those days, it's like once you emigrate to wherever, you're kind of, you know. So that side of the family are very split off. But we thought it was funny when he got elected, but the instability is not really funny anymore.
So he's also from Edinburgh?
No, so my mum is from the islands of Scotland, Stornoway, Isle of Lewis. Yeah, they speak Gaelic there actually.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't speak.
Can you speak Gaelic?
I can say a few things like Hagu Lakamorsh or like Feskirma.
It sounds almost Scandinavian.
Yeah, Botoch, Kajoch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Pishak. Yeah.
very like Swedish and from Iceland.
Yeah,
as
it
well,
does a
little
bit,
like
right? Yeah.
yeah.
Hagu Lakamorsh means I love you. Or Miata Buk means my darling.
I swear to God, it's very Scandinavian.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Yeah.
It doesn't sound very pleasing.
Yeah, so
When you
it's
say
quite
I love
harsh
you.
language.
Right, yeah.
Hagu Lakamorsh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it reminds me of a Cantonese.
Yeah, really.
Like you will see like a couple like super in love, but like where are they yelling at each other?
Yeah, is it like a lot of Cantonese? Like I had some friends and they were asking me about like Cantonese people, why they yelling or screaming so
Yeah, why are
much?
they always yelling?
They're just talking,
Yeah.
but they are very excited. They are very emotional
get
people.
very
They were.
emotional.
I think Taiwanese is more like that than Mandarin, right? Taiwanese is a bit more kind of like, sounds quite aggressive.
Yeah.
Especially in the night markets.
Yeah.
We're like,
Do you
yeah,
speak
like
any
it,
Taiwanese?
No, I don't.
No, how about you? Do you speak any Taiwanese?
Only bad words.
Yeah. Hodala.
I won't mention them here. Hey, Albert, won't say Albert. Hey, Alan, do you want to promote anything of your musical side?
Hey,
any of your bands?
Sure, yeah, my band.
Aura 8?
Yeah, Aurora, yeah. We're called Jiguang Yuetuan, and we're playing this Saturday in Taichung at Sound Livehouse. Yeah, we've got a couple of albums on Spotify. So there's a singer from Iceland, I think, who's called Aurora. So we had to change our name. So our name now is Aurora Jiguang. Like we had to put the Chinese into the English name. Yeah. So our name is now Aurora Jiguang. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can find, I mean, we've got a lot of videos on YouTube. We've got our albums are on Spotify and Amazon, iTunes.
Where can we find you guys?
Just anywhere. Anywhere. Yeah. We're on
website?
everything. Yeah, we have a band website and a Facebook page, all that kind of stuff.
We'll put all the info on your video.
Yeah, a link to the Spotify would be good because it's nice to see the Spotify listings go up, not just me listening to my own music.
But like, do you guys have like regular shows or is it like something like once a month?
I mean, we've been going 11 years now. And when we first started, we were taking it really seriously. And I think kind of my fault, like I moved, or my band's in Taichung. I moved up to Taipei and then Shanghai. And then, you know, I think as you get older.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll be the daddy soon.
Yeah. I mean, my bandmates are older than me. So one of my bandmates is 50. So we play not to be cool anymore. We play for fun because we're all buds. And
it's very folky. It's very, I call it like beach music almost. Very chill, like bonfire kind of.
Although our last album got really heavy. Do you play music at all?
Yeah.
There's a thing that happens when you play a lot of live shows is the soft songs don't get a very big reaction and the really aggressive songs get a reaction. So as you play longer and longer, you get more and more aggressive. Yeah. And then we got to the point where every show was just kind of like metal. It was like super screamy, aggressive stuff. And then only recently have we started to kind of calm down and go back to the old days.
Back to the roots.
Yeah, back to the roots. It's like, okay, let's play this song, but like don't get all crazy.
Too excited.
Yeah, let's try and play it chill. Yeah. Yeah, it's good fun though. I like playing music.
Well, I've seen you a few times during the jam sessions.
Yeah,
I think we even
played.
played.
Yeah, we've played a few times together. Yeah.
I think
good
we
drummer.
Good guitar player, songwriter. Alan, is there anything you wanna mention, contribute, share with the audience?
Yeah, for I guess people looking for a job.
Yeah,
that's like a big uncertainty, right?
I think if you are interested in learning from my personal experience about either foreign talent in Taiwan or job seeking or about the Taiwanese talent market, I would say find my profile on LinkedIn. And my name's Alan McIvor. And on LinkedIn, I've written a bunch of articles. So I've written quite long articles about being a foreigner in Taiwan in the job market. And I've written articles about looking for jobs and about different things.
Lots of tips.
Yeah. So if you want to follow me and get advice from a business point of view, I would recommend going there.
Okay.
I would also maybe shout out All Hands Taiwan. I think All Hands Taiwan is an organization that was set up almost like a business network community to help foreigners get non-teaching jobs here. So they do a lot of events and it was set up by a few of my good friends.
Do they have a Facebook group?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. They've got a website and a Facebook group. And I think they're doing a really good job. I would highly recommend their events. Yeah, it's good fun. Good networking.
Do you have anything, Albert?
Well, I guess it's kind of hard to predict, but I'm curious, like, how are your clients? Like, why do they say Q4? Like, what gives them the confidence?
I think at the moment, all of the foreign companies are looking at the headquarters, and the headquarters have just frozen hiring. So even though Taiwan is doing quite well, like the headquarters are still very worried about profitability. You know, a lot of industries have been hit very hard. So companies have just frozen. And then they're waiting to see what happens. So I think when clients say Q4, they're just guessing. They're just guessing, you know. So like I said, I've had to start working with a lot of the big Taiwanese companies because, you know, Taiwan's doing okay and they still need people. So that
Are they in the Taiwanese market or are they global as well?
All of those companies are global. Yeah.
So they still must be impacted by the what's happening overseas.
Yeah, they are. But in headquarters, like a company like Asus, they have so many people. It's like they're never going to have zero headcount. You know, like they're always going to be hiring something.
Right.
Yeah. You just got to find those jobs. You know, like recently I started working with a really cool electric vehicle company, and that was referred to me by one of my golf friends. You know, my golf buddy was like, hey, my my friend is looking to hire this position. Are you still a headhunter? So you got to kind of just always be hustling. Always about the hustle. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's very tough.
Yeah, it's tough times, but you know,
we'll get through it.
Good time to bring a baby into the world.
Congratulations. How many months?
She's due September. A little boy. Yeah.
September.
Wow.
Yeah. So pretty. She just started maternity leave. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she's looking pretty pregnant, Laurie.
Shout out to Laurie.
Shout out to Laurie in the basketball. We call her basketball. She's just always carrying a basketball. Yeah.
She's still in a good mood. I mean, you don't feel any pressure. Okay,
no comment.
We'll cut that out of the interview.
No, she's good. She's good. But obviously, I mean, in this kind of heat, being pregnant is just insanely uncomfortable. And even kind of going to bed, you know, it's like, how do you?
It's your fault. You didn't calculate it well.
I know. It's true. Next baby, winter birth. Yeah.
Okay, man, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Okay, thanks, guys.
It's been an awesome talk.
Nice.
Good to have all the insights from a headhunter. A lot of things we didn't know, or perhaps you guys know, but we didn't. I think it's going to be a rough ride until the end of the year.
Fingers crossed, eh?
And hopefully we will make it. Well, we are pretty lucky being in Taiwan, right? So that's a good thing. So that's it for today.
Cool.
See you guys next week with a new episode of The Chiron Show. Bye-bye.